Welcome to Happy Talks with Dr. Alice and Donovan. Dr. Alice Fong is a holistic naturopathic doctor and founder of Amor de Soi Wellness. And Donovan Jensen is a software engineer and founder of HowToHappy.com. Together, they're out to cause more happiness in the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Happy Talks. My name is Dr. Alice, and this is my awesome co-host, Donovan. And today we have a very special guest, Michel, who teaches others how to live a mystical life and experience divine oneness, which is the true heart of genuine happiness, success, and purpose in one's life. Please welcome Michel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Dr. Alice. Hi, Donovan. Great to see you guys. I love what you do.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to chat with you and hear about your story, about what led you to doing what you're doing, from rock star to you get to explain to our audience what you're doing. So why don't we start with that? Like, tell us about your journey into discovering of divine oneness.
Oh, it's bizarre, unique, amazing. It proves that anything is possible for anyone. I'm from Australia, so g'day, everyone.
Awesome.
And I was a rock singer. I was actually a singer since the age of 5 on TV, but I had a great band. We toured at one stage for 7 years nonstop. We worked with the most amazing international bands as well, had videos out. My life was fantastic. I thought it was fantastic. I didn't realize that I was going to have a near fatal car accident, which would change the total trajectory of my purpose and my life, because I managed the band. I wrote the songs. We had thousands of people come to see us every night. So I loved it. I had worked hard to get there. Anyway, so at one night coming home from a gig, 12-hour drive with the truck driver, all the musical equipment in the back of the truck driver fell asleep, went into a pole. And as the person sitting, in the truck with him, all the musical equipment, speakers and stuff went into my back.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
So I won't say all the horrific things that I went through for months and months and months in the hospital, because I don't want anyone to, miss their breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on where you are in the world. But what happened to me was amazing. Someone put on this tape by Napoleon Hill speaking, the book Think and Grow Rich, that very old book. And that is what changed my life. Now, why would a female rock singer in Australia be listening to some bloke talking about entrepreneurs, millionaires in America in the 20s? Why would that change my life? Well, to wrap it up very quickly, what happened was, when Napoleon Hill was speaking about his little baby boy was born with no hearing whatsoever. And so he would go into the little boy's room every night and do these affirmations. You can hear perfectly, just this amazing stuff I'd never heard of before. And I was like, oh my God, the little boy ended up having 30% hearing by the time he was 5, went on to become a super successful person in the hearing aid industry. So I said, okay, there's something within me that believes that these affirmations, auto-suggestion works. So I'm going to do an affirmation. I'm going to say it over and over again. He said, you've got to emotionalize it for the affirmation to work. Otherwise, it will just be spat out, short-term memory. The doubting mind won't believe it. So it won't plant itself in the treasury of the subconscious mind, because the mind is very, very powerful. So I did it for a couple of weeks, but then I just didn't believe it, because the doctors are saying I probably never walk again. If I did, I'd have permanent limitations. So I didn't believe it. The doubting mind threw it out. But then I had the epiphany. Do you want to know what it was?
Of course, yes.
I'm a singer-songwriter. Can you get a jingle or a song out of your head if you hear it enough? It's so quick. Lyrics go into the left side of the brain. And this has all been proven. Johns Hopkins Hospital, all these studies have been done now. But back then, there was nothing like that. This is the late 80s. And the music, the melody goes into the right brain. So that's why kids can learn their ABC so quickly, because they're singing them. So I decided to sing it. I had a little cassette recorder I always had in case I got a songwriting idea. And I just started singing, I am healed, I know I am. I love myself, I am my friend. Over and over again onto the tape. To make a long story short, we can go into the details in a minute. that was the first time anyone had done affirmations with pop music. I went on to have great success globally. My biggest audience was 50,000 people since. Now I've got albums, songs for success, songs for motivation, self-esteem songs for kids, work with Dr. Deepak Chopra, Bob Proctor, Wayne Dyer, you name it,
Wow.
26 different countries. And I just love what I do. I've written over 80 books, CDs, albums, videos, teaching all of these different methods now, not just the affirmation songs. That's a great place to start. And now you can chime in.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of interesting parts of your history that we could touch on. I want to continue to hone in on sort of this affirmations piece because I think a lot of people have sort of a mixed experience with affirmations. And kind of what you're saying, you mentioned something extremely important, which is you have to have some sort of emotional resonance with affirmations for them to land at all. This is just a little bit of my story, but when I first heard of affirmations, right, I tried them for a month or two, and it was some phrase that I had picked up, and I didn't know any different. I had just been introduced to it, and I was repeating it verbatim, and it was something about like being a king amongst people, whatever. The details don't matter. It did not resonate with me at all. And so, at the end of that period, I thought like, you know what, this stuff doesn't really work. And it wasn't until later that I had gotten a different perspective and said, write your own affirmations or find some that actually resonate with you, that you actually believe to some degree. And that's been much, much higher impact for me. So on that same sort of note, I'd be curious, sort of, you touched on it a little bit, but to hear a little bit more around your journey of sort of having affirmations not really connect versus connect, and what you think made the difference. Like, did you change the words? Do you think it's just because you swapped it into singing that made it connect with something that you were already passionate about? Or what did that journey look like for you?
Well, we found out now that you just listen to the affirmation songs that I've been creating. People have downloaded my songs, the Magnet to Money song, like millions of times globally, because it's a song. It goes straight into your subconscious mind. You do not have to emotionalize it at all. It goes straight into your subconscious mind. And so that's why I ended up I had miraculous healing. Journalists in Australia found out about my healing, and they started inviting me to sing these affirmations and talk about my healing in front of thousands of people, working with Bob Proctor, Wayne Dyer, all of these people globally. I'd never heard of them because I was in the rock and roll area. Yeah. They weren't in my periphery. But Bob Proctor from The Secret, when he heard it, he said, I didn't want some singer. He said, but I've never seen an audience be uplifted so quickly. They're just singing along with me. We've got the lyrics in the background, very, very simple pop songs, but very well recorded, of course, because I'm a professional. And he said, because I've been teaching this in my entire life, and I was doing the affirmations and Think and Grow Rich for years, and it took a long time, but then it started working. He said, because your doubting mind he said, this is amazing. He said, that this is an entire brain experience. You know how this works. And I said, actually, I do, which is why I'm healed, which is why I'm making like 500 times more than I was making as a rock singer, which is why I'm touring the world, and which is why you want me to work with you worldwide now, don't you? And he said, yes, I want you at every event I ever do. And so, so many, Brian Tracy, all of these people use my affirmation songs. They just listen to them themselves. And, we've got something for I've got hundreds of songs. We've got them for kids. We've got them for self-esteem, for success, for persistence, for being a magnet to money. So many different styles and so many different types of affirmation rock songs. And you just have to listen to them. You don't have to sing along. If you do, it changes your vibration. The way I created the songs in certain keys, all positive keys, no negative keys, so that, major, in other words, major keys, so that it changes your entire vibration. But the studies that have been done on music and affirmations is absolutely incredible, because if anyone even does their own affirmations like Donovan wanted to, but then if you do it with some music underneath, so you have a left and right brain experience, even if you just speak it but record it with music underneath it, then it will go straight into your subconscious mind. You can't get it out, and that's what you want.
Yeah. No, I love that you used your gifts and your talents and combined it with the affirmation work because that's so powerful. And I actually what came up for me in my mind was that I just joined TikTok like a week or two ago, basically, which I resisted because I'm like, that's for like kids and it's silly and you do silly dances. But I have a lot of knowledge. My expertise is stress and anxiety. And so I was like, okay, how can I share a little about stress and anxiety in a fun way? And when I actually have me just talking, it's kind of boring and dry. I feel like, but when you add some music to it, it definitely like gets it a little more engaging and interesting and exciting. And I could see like that musical undertones can really amplify. I even if you're not feeling emotional, I feel like it amplifies emotions and feelings significantly. So I could really see the impact of combining the affirmations with music. Do you? But I'm curious though. You said that people don't have to sing along, but do you feel like that's more powerful for people if they are like just singing it along like all the time? Like, what
Well,
do you
it
think?
well, it is good because
Yeah.
it changes your vibration. It shifts
Mm-hmm.
you from negativity to positivity very, very quickly. Even Bob Proctor sang on a couple of the songs, the Be a Perfect Weight song, and he's got a terrible voice. And I nearly wet myself in the studio when I was producing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why did you do that? And he said, because I want people to know that if they sing along as well, it's so much fun. It shifts their vibration even more
Mm-hmm.
to the positive. And it was just hysterical because, he just thought, you don't have to be able to sing. But the thing is, like jingles, advertising agencies spend billions a year on jingles because they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
They know once you listen to their jingle, you cannot get it out of your head for the rest of your life. You'll always remember their product with that particular jingle.
Mm-hmm.
And so because they knew, they did all the studies for years that you have to have music. And if you can get a really famous song and then use that for your product as well, well, that's even more powerful for people to like singing the Toyota song, or in Australia, we love our Vegemite, which everyone in the world thinks tastes terrible, because we would sing we love our Vegemite when we were little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, I didn't notice this before until you kind of explained it again, even though you did say it the first time, but I can see how kind of this different angle of anchoring some of these messages into music would make them a lot more powerful for the reasons that you mentioned, right? Like we more easily remember a lot of these different melodies combined with whatever words go with them. And part of, at least from what I've seen, part of the value of sort of using affirmations is that in moments where the message is relevant, so in moments you're feeling down or moments you're facing a challenge or whatever else, these messages come top of mind, as opposed to maybe what is default for most people, which is some sort of like negative messaging or sort of like, oh, this challenge is going to be too hard, or can I do this, or whatever else. I'd be curious, what do you think is sort of the mechanism that allows sort of these affirmations to work, right? So as you're listening to the messages and whatnot, what outcomes or differences do you see people have over time? Does that make any sense? I feel like I rambled a bit.
Yeah, no, it's fine, Donovan. No, I can explain that very easily. The question was great. Back when I was teaching this worldwide and speaking about it, and all the people, Napoleon Hill, Deepak Chopra, all the people that have taught affirmations for years. Now it's been proven that, there is a short-term memory. There is a long-term memory. And if your doubting mind, your frequency, we all have a frequency. This is fact now. It's not woo-woo Woodstock talk anymore. We all have a vibratory frequency, and you can feel it. If you walk into the room where someone's been very high, positive sort of person, you can feel the joy, the happiness in the room, even if you've never met the person. And the same is true when you enter a room, because we're all connected and we all can feel, we're all extremely sensitive to vibration. So that frequency, you have to get the message into the subconscious mind before the doubting mind has a chance to throw it out of the mind. That's why I used to always have a tape recorder with me, because I would get this idea for a song or a melody, and if I didn't sing it onto the tape recorder, I would forget it. It'd go out of my short-term memory because it hasn't entered the long-term memory yet. It hadn't become a synopsis to, kick off and be wired into the brain. And so this is why doing it this way is so powerful. And as I said, millions of people all over the world have downloaded my songs. And we have thousands upon thousands of testimonials from transformational, huge leaders like Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul. I mean, I just did a show with him last month. And because they all use my affirmation music for themselves as well. And it's like, there's one song that step by step, I climb the ladder to victory. There's another one called Persistence that Bob Proctor actually helped write with me, the lyrics. And that goes up higher and higher, another key change. And you keep hearing it. And the music's great, really, really great music. And then you're just like, wow, then it's there. I will persist until I succeed. I am now throwing down all obstacles in my way. You hear this being sung and going up, and people just love it. And it's really, really works. Well, it's been proven it works 300 times faster than attempting to emotionalize an affirmation. But I also believe in visualization. I believe there's many, many methods, meditation. I just think doing the affirmations to start with is a great way to raise your vibration and to be more positive and more confident. And then you can go deeper. Once you've got out of your negativity or your lack of confidence, or your body needs healing or whatever that is, or to feel more self-love, then you can go into deeper stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious, what does it, like, once they've raised their vibration and they're not doubting themselves anymore, and they're feeling good and they're feeling positive. You mentioned going deeper, like what's the next step? What do they do next, I guess, now that they're feeling good?
Yeah, because what happened to me was I had huge success after that. And I mean, I stopped my band and I ended up having hit records overseas in different languages. And it was just, big audience of 50,000 once on a New Year's Eve. It was just insane how this had helped my consciousness so much, but also because it was helping all these other people's consciousness so much. In all these different countries all over Asia. I was living in Kuala Lumpur, ended up running Bob Proctor's business, got him to have a best-selling book as well. All of these different things that I was doing, I started becoming what I would call not unhappy, but a little soul sick for something within me that was fluttering in my chest. My frequency was going higher and higher. And I started feeling like there's got to be something more to this. What is my divine purpose? And I ended up finding out it was enlightenment. And then to teach others how to do that. Excuse me, I just need a sip of water.
Well, I was going to ask is just to follow up on that. What kind of work have you started doing in that area, beyond this, and what other things are you taking on?
Well, I teach the affirmation music. I teach visualization. I've got so many products and audio programs. And so then I found an enlightened teacher. I went to all these countries looking for someone who knew God, not for religious reasons it was just, I had this heart glow. So I finally, after 12 years, met a truly enlightened teacher, and she accepted me as a student. So then I went for 10 years deeply into meditation practice and having these exquisite spiritual experiences that were just literally out of this world. And then I became fully awakened, my Kundalini fully awakened. I'd had Kundalini rushes, but not the full awakening. And then I had that. So now because of that, it's like I'm turned on all the time. I'm plugged in. So I can transmit light to others and do prayers for them, teach them deep meditation and assist them. It's sort of like meditating for them to start with. For those who want to go deeper, I have students all over the world.
Wow. And for those that are kind of unfamiliar with Kundalini, do you want to say a little more to that?
Well, the Kundalini, if you want to look at lovely Tara here, you have along the spine an ethereal spine called the Sushumna. And it's along there, and it's what is blocked. The Kundalini energy is at the bottom of the spine. Everyone is born with that, but the Sushumna is closed up. And what happens is the Shakti or the Kundalini energy it's like bubbling vibrational bubbles of light. I can't explain it in any other way at the moment. And that needs to be vibrating up the Sushumna to awaken or to ignite the doorways that are called chakras to the different divine dimensions. You end up having the most exquisite experiences, and no one understands why that is so important. But everyone's divine purpose is to awaken. Now, when an enlightened teacher transmits light to you, they are connecting you to your divine presence. When most people, they've got this beautiful diamond, for example, metaphorically, of course, and just like say that's your divine presence, that's your soul, and it becomes blocked with all the negative emotions and over emotional things that people feel in their ego, and it becomes blocked, and people can't feel that light anymore within them, and they don't have really strong intuition because that needs to be clear. Because when that's clear, you're plugged in and you know exactly what to do, when to do it. You don't judge anymore. You see without judgment, and you don't have fear because you're not living in the past or the future. You're living now. And I've got hundreds of videos that I've done on YouTube about Kundalini awakening, about karma, about a lot of deeply mystical things that people are more and more awakening to. Wow, that sounds a bit out there, but I think I believe it. I think there's something within me that is powerful, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I want to step back to when you were talking about sort of meditation and different levels of meditation. You mentioned deep meditation. I'd be curious sort of what your experience and progression around sort of doing meditation has been, because I think a lot of people have tried it, at least at the very lightest levels, right? Like a couple minutes, eyes closed. Okay, I'll focus on my breath. But I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about some of the sort of progression and some of the stuff you saw as you were able to deepen that practice.
Well, the thing is, I meditated for years before I met my enlightened teacher, for years. It's a very, very challenging thing to do on your own, to stop your thought so that you can feel your oneness with the divine presence, with that thing which, animates all of us. And so once I had this enlightened teacher I could feel waves of the Shakti when I first met her. And, it's happening to me all the time. That's nonstop. It's exquisite. Anyway, very challenging sometimes to stay really focused, but it always lets you know what to do and what to say and who to say it to and who not to say it to.
Yeah.
So, some people don't want to go that deeply, but I did. So I would meditate for hours every night until I got a flash of, I was seriously doing it so much. And then I get another flash of no thought. So you have to have something within you that really, really, really wants to feel that divine presence and that longs for it, that you feel a little soul sick if you don't do it. But I couldn't have done it without an enlightened teacher transmitting light to me. It's nearly impossible. Some people have done it, but it took years. Years. And then, I would just have a flash of light with no thought. And I ended up not ever sleeping unless I had that meditation of flash of light. But it's hard to do it. You don't have to go that deeply to feel effects. Like, you have to have no thought to meditate. Otherwise you just practice, but you have to do it. You have to have a teacher to go through it with you and to navigate it for you in a way from an experienced person. It's like if you were going to go to a piano teacher, you wouldn't go to someone who had never played piano. So you have to go to someone who's actually experienced it and can actually assist you, lift your vibration up so that you can start doing it. But not everybody wants to do that, and they don't have to. It depends on their particular divine purpose and how they feel about it, because I think it's just wonderful. I found it so joyful, and I'm so grateful whenever I see someone that was really depressed, who had been through heartache or some sort of physical aggravation through whatever means, and then see them happy. And then to see that change, that is what sets me on fire, because I know that it's possible for every person. The mind and the senses are telling us what to do and how to feel, when we can go beyond that and beyond the doubting mind and then find this inner joy. And it's not necessarily, you're never overexcited. It's like joy and peace combined all the time, just humming like Yogananda Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, he said, it's just you feel this hum all the time, this hum in your heart, and it's just humming through you. And no matter, he said, I could work in a pineapple factory and I'd still be in bliss. And that's what it's like.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. You had mentioned before that it took you years to find your enlightened teacher?
Oh yeah.
No, and I get that not everyone's looking for that, but if someone was, how did you decide, or what was your screening process to finally determine this is the teacher for me? Like what was your process?
I think it just, I think it's love, I think it just, because I only found 2 enlightened teachers before her. One was Japanese, one was Indian, older men. And that's who I thought enlightened teacher would look like.
Yeah.
Because, but isn't that ridiculous? Why would it have to be just in the East when, everyone has got the same consciousness and heart and, potential. Anyway, so but they didn't speak English. They didn't really want to take on a student who wasn't living in their country, and I didn't feel a connection to them. And I said I don't want to. I went through some tough stuff as a rock singer, staying in horrible places. I don't want to stay in a dirty ashram, because some of them are dirty. When some of the people are so negative because they're really wanting it so much, and they get frustrated. And I said, I want to still live in a nice, comfortable house, do my I want to find a meditation teacher. I don't want to have to live in these ashrams, because some of them are just horrible. And so eventually I was always looking somewhere, but eventually a friend of mine whose teacher, who was enlightened, left the body. He was a student with this woman, and he'd heard that she'd become enlightened out of thousands of his students, because it's very rare. And so I went to see her one night at one of her public events. She's like 10 years younger than me, this beautiful American woman, and I could see gold coming out of her hands. Now, that's unusual. It's usually someone, when you've got a deep connection to a teacher, you can feel it straight away. My eyes started tearing up, and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I felt so out of it when I got to my car. And she even she said, hey, whoever I was, she didn't know me, remember to get into your car before you start driving. Because it really makes you feel high. And eventually she agreed to teach me. And that's how I found my teacher. It was divine intervention.
Love it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting and just genuine story, right? I can see, even as you talk about it, sort of the connection that was formed in that moment. I want to kind of drag you back a couple steps to something we talked about before, but I heard you say, you mentioned the doubting mind a couple times. And I'd be curious, obviously we talked about affirmations quite a bit, and then talking about meditation a little bit. I'd be curious if there are other pathways or methods that you see that people can start chipping away at this doubting mind. If, for example, they've tried meditation or they've tried affirmations and it hasn't quite landed for them. Probably one piece of that is keep trying, because it's not a one-time done thing. But I'd be curious what else.
I'm just saying, the songs to start with, they work so quickly. So, I do add-ons. I think creative visualization, I've got programs on creative visualization, because the mind does think in pictures and patterns. So I think that's a very important step as well, that you can begin. My magnetic creative visualization is a great visualization, because I walk you through, with the music underneath as well, into you creating what you want. Because I used to hear visualizations and go, now think of this, now relax, now breathe in through your stomach, now bam, bam, bam. And you don't have time to actually visualize. So the way I decided to do it was to do it very, very quietly, very slowly, and give them an opportunity to start creating and using that visualization muscle that they may not have used before. I believe in vision boards. I think that's great, because we think in pictures. We do not know the difference between, and this has been proven, between a picture and a real thing. We don't know the difference. So I like it, if I call it magnetic creative visualization board. If you put all the pictures of things you love and maybe some divine Oms or whatever you find divine to look at, or, statue of a Buddha or something. Put all the things that you would like in your life and just be grateful for them. Always being grateful. The more you're grateful, the more you have to be grateful for, but not because of what you think other people are going to think, just because you want to have a freer life. People think spirituality, you're supposed to be poor and live in these dirty ashrams. That's rubbish. It's like it's your divine birthright to allow the divine through you to enjoy everything so that you can assist other people. Whenever, especially during the lockdown, we've been able to assist other people financially that are my students, and just anyone that needs assistance. You can do it if you've got money. So it's a good thing to have. It's freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'd be curious, Michel, like, I know you've done so many different songs, and it sounds like you have a lot of different programs and offerings. Is there like a particular song that's your favorite, or the one that's most popular? And they might be two different things. Like, what's the most popular song of yours that your students love, and what's your favorite song?
Well, the most popular is I'm a Magnet to Money. Money, money loves me.
Oh.
That song.
Okay.
I'm a magnet to money.
Woo.
I now have more than I need. That's been downloaded millions of times. It's ridiculous. Anyway,
I'll have to download that later.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it to you. Don't be silly. I'll give you whatever you want. Just contact Trevor, and whatever you guys, go to my website, magnettosuccess.com, and check out whatever you'd like. And
Cool.
we'll send it to you. But for me, I think my favorite one has to be the first one I ever wrote, because it healed my body. I am healed. I know I am. I love myself. I am my friend. As the healing light of the universe surrounds me and goes through me, I am grateful that I am healed. So I love that one. And I love I am a miracle, because that's such a beautiful thing for people to be attuned to the miraculous and to be grateful and just know that you're a miracle, and to appreciate and love what has been given you, this beautiful avatar, basically. So yeah, but I've got so many. I mean, I love the Persistence song that Bob Proctor and I wrote together, because it really makes you go, whoa. And I love Risk, that Bob and I again wrote. Take a risk, because it sort of gets you to not be fearful about something. And like Bob always talks about, jump over that terror barrier. And the only reason people have a terror barrier or a doubting mind is because they haven't done that thing yet. So they're just a little afraid. Will it happen? Will it not happen? And so I say to people, look, you won't know unless you do it. So jump into that creative plane of life and just go for it. You have nothing to lose. If you haven't done it, it's not going to happen. If you do it, it could happen. So if people can believe, even if they don't believe it's possible, if they can say to themselves, well, it hasn't been proven that it's impossible because other people have done it. So therefore, I am a miracle and it is possible for me. But that was a good question. I don't think anyone's ever actually asked me that question in all these years.
Oh, really?
Which is my favorite. No, which is my favorite song.
I want to know.
Nobody. They've never asked me. That's funny.
Well, obviously the affirmations have healed you in a way.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I'd be curious, which one like is your favorite is always thing. But that's good to know. Yeah, I'll have to check out that song too. Great. Well, was there anything else you'd like to share, or is there anything you'd like to plug with our audience before we wrap up for today?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Alice, what we did, my team and I, we put together something phenomenal. We put together The Magic of Affirmation Power, the latest book, Michel's Magnetic Visualization program, audio program. This is all MP3s, the Songs for Success album, the worldwide Zoom event where you meet people from all over the world and you get to mastermind together and meditate, learn meditation, and also a month in the mystical experience for free as a student, just to see if you like it, just to start learning about your affirmations. All of that is valued at over $300 for just $10. And all they've got to do is go to, Jack Canfield just thought it was insane. Anyway, mydivinesuccess.com / for you guys, HappyTalks for your audience. And so they can experience all of that for just $10. And I think it's good energetically just to pay something, because I think people feel better when they've been given so much. I found that when I was doing everything for free, people would not always listen to it because they hadn't invested anything emotionally or anything into it. But just $10, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great offer and great deal. So everyone check that out. We'll put the link in the description for anyone that's interested. And yeah, I'm excited. I actually think that that's a great that you offer it at such a low price. But I like the idea that it's music for one, because I always sign up for all these courses and then I never get around to doing it. But I'm like, oh, listening to music sounds easy and fun. So I'm like, okay, that like breaks the barrier where I'm like, oh, I could just listen to some music and yeah, I could totally see that it could put me in a good mood, because generally music does that. But to have like designed affirmation music, that's a double whammy of success and goodness. So yeah. I'm excited. Awesome. Well, thank you, Michel, for joining us today.
Well, I really appreciate you and Donovan so much with what you're doing to bring positivity to the world, because the world has to have positivity. It has to survive, to feel that love and connection for each other. It is very real. Everyone has the power within them to be shifted, to something positive and happy. And it's a very deep thing, happiness. It's not some lighthearted pretend thing. It's a very deep, very real thing, true happiness. So God bless you both for doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. It's been an honor to have you on our show.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please take a second to subscribe, as it really helps out a lot. If you're looking for more content, there's all sorts of information over at howtohappy.com. And if you want something a little bit more condensed and concise, I've also written the book Mindscaping, which is essentially a framework for optimizing happiness. So we'll have the link there as well. And that's all I've got. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.